Imagine walking into a courthouse, ready to serve justice, only to be told you don't belong there. This black woman faced exactly that: insults, disrespect, and humiliation. But what happened next? Let's just say, the entire courthouse was left in shock. A black woman walks into a courthouse, dressed sharply, her posture confident, her eyes focused. She's there for her first day as the new judge, ready to serve justice. But instead of being greeted with respect, she's met with suspicion. A court officer stops her at the door, his tone dripping with disdain. He doesn't ask for her credentials or even her name. He assumes. He assumes she's just another person wasting his time, someone who doesn't belong in a place of power. He makes her wait outside, ignoring her calm explanations. He even throws insults her way, mocking her appearance, her demeanor, her very presence. The other courthouse staff watch silently, some uncomfortable, others indifferent. No one steps in. No one questions the officer's behavior. The woman stands there, her patience wearing thin, but her composure unshaken. The problem here isn't just the officer's rudeness, it's the deep-rooted bias driving his actions. He sees her skin color, her gender, and instantly decides she's beneath him. He doesn't care about the truth. He doesn't care about fairness. All he cares about is maintaining his own twisted sense of authority. But here's the thing. What happens when your assumptions are dead wrong? What happens when the person you're insulting holds more power than you ever imagined? The tension is palpable. The woman knows exactly who she is, and she knows the officer is about to learn the hard way. So, here's a question for you. Have you ever been judged unfairly based on how you look? Share your story in the comments. Let's talk about it. The tension in the courthouse hallway is thick enough to cut with a knife. The black woman stands there, her expression calm but her eyes sharp, watching the court officer as he continues to dismiss her. He's loud, arrogant, and completely unaware of the storm he's about to face. Other courthouse staff are starting to notice the scene unfolding. Some glance nervously, others whisper to each other, but no one dares to intervene. The officer's insults grow harsher. He mocks her, questioning why she's even there, telling her she's in the wrong place, that people like her don't belong in a courthouse. His words are laced with prejudice, his tone dripping with contempt. But the woman doesn't react. She doesn't yell, she doesn't argue. She simply waits, her silence more powerful than any words. As the minutes tick by, the atmosphere grows heavier. The officer's confidence starts to waver. He notices the stares, the whispers, the uneasy energy in the room. He begins to realize something's off, but he's too deep in his own arrogance to back down. Meanwhile, the woman remains composed, her patience unshaken. She knows the truth, and she knows it's only a matter of time before everyone else does too. Then, a senior court official walks into the hallway. He sees the woman, recognizes her immediately, and his face goes pale. He rushes over, his tone shifting from confusion to panic. The officer freezes, his bravado crumbling as he watches the senior official address the woman with the utmost respect. The whispers grow louder. The tension reaches its peak. The woman finally speaks, her voice calm but commanding. She introduces herself, not as a visitor, not as a bystander, but as the new judge. The room falls silent. The officer's face drops, his arrogance replaced with sheer terror. He stammers, trying to apologize, but it's too late. The damage is done. This moment isn't just about one man's mistake, it's about the systemic bias that allows such behavior to exist. It's about the power of patience, the strength of silence, and the consequences of unchecked prejudice. So, here's a question for you. What would you have done if you were in that hallway? Would you have stepped in or stayed silent? Let me know in the comments. The courtroom hallway is dead silent. All eyes are on the black woman as she steps forward, her presence commanding the room. The court officer, who moments ago was hurling insults and acting like he owned the place, now looks like he's seen a ghost. His face pales, his hands tremble, and his mouth opens, but no words come out. The senior court official, clearly shaken, turns to the officer and says, "This is Judge Williams. She's our new presiding judge." The words hit like a thunderclap. The officer's arrogance shatters in an instant. His chest, puffed up with false authority, deflates. He stumbles over his words, trying to apologize, but it's too late. The damage is done. Judge Williams doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. Her calm, steady tone cuts deeper than any shout ever could. She looks at the officer and says, "I hope this serves as a reminder that respect isn't given based on appearance. It's earned through actions." The room is so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Every person in that hallway is holding their breath, waiting to see what happens next. The officer, now visibly sweating, tries to explain himself, but Judge Williams holds up a hand, silencing him. "We'll discuss this later," she says, her tone leaving no room for argument. She turns and walks toward the courtroom, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. The sound echoes like a countdown to Judgment Day. As she disappears through the doors, the hallway erupts in murmurs. The officer slumps against the wall, his face buried in his hands. The other staff members exchange glances, some shaking their heads, others whispering about what just unfolded. The tension is still thick, but now it's mixed with a sense of justice served. This moment isn't just about one man's humiliation. It's about the power of truth, the weight of accountability, and the consequences of unchecked bias. It's a moment that leaves everyone in that courthouse questioning their own actions and assumptions. So, here's a question for you. What do you think the officer deserved in that moment? Let me know in the comments. If this story hit home, hit that subscribe button. Because stories like this, they're just the beginning. Please note this story is a work of fiction only for education and entertainment purposes.